Men of Reddit, what instantly turned you off a woman? Her daughter asked her for permission to go to a friend's house. She told her daughter to ask me for permission. We had only been dating for a month, and I had only met the kid once. I had never seen a 9-year-old cringe before. My second date with this one girl was going to a Christmas party of a mutual friend. After we were there for a little while, she started talking to this other guy and they went to some corner where no one else could interrupt them and talked for an hour. When they were done talking, she immediately told me she was leaving and up and bounced. Totally turned me off, so I didn't talk to her again for a while. A month later she reached out and was like, "Why haven't you called me?" I was kind of dumbfounded that she would actually ask. I didn't have anything else going on at the time, so I figured we could try again. But the Christmas party left such a bad taste in my mouth I couldn't even feign interest. This is what my coworker did to me. Asked me out, we went out, she danced with other dudes and then came back to the table with 2 drinks and set them down and started drinking. I assumed the other one was for me and took a swig. She looked annoyed at me and asked me if that was me neither. She looked exasperated and came back with another drink and explained to me she was trying to pick up this dude and took her 2 drinks over to some guy's table. I gathered my shit to leave and she stopped me before I hit the door, saying that if this guy didn't want to take her home she would need a ride. Still, I just nodded and left. Stopped talking to her altogether. Later on she wrote me a note saying stuff like, "Why haven't we followed up? And I thought we liked each other?" and so on. She couldn't understand why I lost interest in her. She told me she expected me to text her good morning every single morning before her. The bitch got up at 6 every day and I don't get up till 8. Fuck off, that is horse shit. I had a girlfriend recently, only lasted about 7 months, and this is one of the reasons I, in the end, couldn't stand her. Every time she talked about something and I thought she finished speaking and I started to speak, she continued speaking but in slightly louder tone as if I rudely interrupted her. And if I happened to do it again she just went from loud to louder. Her speaking pattern was filled with pauses, so it was very easy to mistake one of those pauses for a finished sentence. Yeah. Someone who is not conversationally generous is a complete turn-off. It's like the kid in play school who never learned to share. Conversation is something 2 people create together, with give and take. Sadly, some people only know how to take, and that spills over into all aspects of the relationship. Eventually, told her friend in public that my mom was stupid and made fun of her for 20 minutes. She didn't know my mother's friend was sitting next to her in the restaurant and heard the whole thing. We were in college and in a different town, which made the whole experience for her that much more unfortunate. I was done, particularly because my mom was nothing but the kindest person to her and made every effort to make her feel welcome when she visited. Not being able to stay off your phone. I'm on a date to talk to you, not watch you track your followers. Saying how my major isn't manly enough. I'm in nursing school BTW, and love it. Edit. Wow, was not expecting this to be voted so much. Thank you all for your support. I hope to become an amazing nurse someday, hopefully either ICU or surgery, but I would love to do travel nursing too. Edit number 2, thank you so much for my first silver. Edit number 3, thank you for my first gold, and tie to everyone for all the positive comments. I had a friend of the family that was a brute of a man, owned a boxing gym and was a Golden Gloves champ. He was built like a fucking brick house. If seen on the street you would be intimidated. A man most men wouldn't screw with. When she thought the appropriate response to me saying something she didn't agree with was a slap across the face. She had gotten into a fight with her friend because of something she was completely in the wrong about. I made the mistake of calling her out on it. I have an accent, so anyone who is way too into that gets the boot pretty quickly. I once walked out on a date because she spent 30 minutes trying to impersonate me and couldn't understand why I didn't think it was endearing. One of TH's things that stood out to me about my BF was when I met his friends for the first time and they were all surprised that I'm an Aussie. I feel like most guys would brag about it. The place I was living at the time was quite small and basically everyone would introduce me as the Australian. I would have randos come up to me at work and say, "So you're the hot Aussie, I've heard about you," etc. So when I realized that he hadn't even mentioned it when he was telling them about me, I definitely swooned a little bit. As someone with a southern accent, I know the feeling. I lived in CT for 2 years and had someone from Boston making fun of my accent. Get ya caucus and get out of here. had a girl I dated and we were pretty into each other. One day she got extremely upset with me for saying something pretty innocuous because it reminded her of something from her past. I said I'd remember not to bring that up in the future and apologized, though that didn't seem to suffice. It appeared I was to be punished or treated poorly for it. I asked if I could get a pass on this as there was no way I could have known what I said would have bothered her, but no. I asked her if there was anything else that really set her off like this and she said yes, though I'd have to find out on my own. I asked if there was anything I could do in the future to avoid upsetting her or causing one of these situations, and again she angrily said no. We were supposed to go out for supper, but I told her I wasn't hungry, got in my car and went home. If you're going to create the path and conditions of failure for our relationship, you can trust that I will find the shortcut every time. When they complain about me being friends with other girls, yeah, like I'm gonna cut out every woman in my life just because you're too insecure with yourself. Bad attitudes. Met a girl online once. She seemed cool. Met her in person and she immediately starts off, "This is the kind of Mustang you drive?" And I'm not exaggerating, she said it as rudely as possible. So I asked her to get out and she refused. "Fuck that, you owe me a movie. We are going to see a movie, shitty car or not." I had to throw her purse out the window to get her the fuck out of my car. Calling her university teachers retarded after 30 minutes on our first date. She could not take the test because she did not show up a couple of times and thought it was her professor's duty to tell her in advance. Well, read the damn syllabus. You're not in high school anymore. She told me all her elaborate plans of getting him fired. After I told her she was in the wrong, she got mad. She told me she was going after her ex for a certain amount of money. That on its own was not the problem. The money she wanted was the $500 in his shared living expenses she contributed over the 7 years they were together. She wanted every penny back. She thought that as long as they stayed together, then the contribution made sense. But if they broke up, then she got to live for free, retroactively. Food, mortgage, utilities, all of it. So she was contributing maybe 25% of the overall living expenses. But because he made $68K a year and she made $30–40K a year, she shouldn't have to pay a single dime of those shared living expenses over the years they were together, unless of course they stayed together. If she had done some calculation to figure out how much of that $500 went toward the principal on the mortgage. I had been dating her for a couple of weeks and broke it off a week or so later. Edit. Sorry guys. That $500 per month over 7 years. So she wanted $500 x 12 x 7 equal $42,000.